There's a particular kind of anxiety that only Tetris players understand. You're deep into a run. The music has shifted into its quicker cadence. Not frantic yet, but urgent enough that your hands start to move faster than your thoughts. You've built a perfect well on the right side of the screen, a vertical slot awaiting the long eyepiece that will clear 4 lines at once. A tiny triumph waiting to happen. But the game gives you something else. The awkward S shape. The one that fits everywhere except where you want it. You hesitate. You rotate it once, twice. You slide it left, then right. And then comes the sound every Tetris player knows. Thud. The piece locks. And instantly you know, that small hesitation, that one misalignment, has rearranged the entire future. Your clean board now has a scar. Your well now has a blockage. Your upcoming decisions just became a little more constrained. That feeling, the sudden contraction of your future, is the feeling of irreversibility. The feeling of path dependence. The feeling of a world where choices become permanent faster than we'd like. This essay is a thought experiment. What if Tetris were a playable allegory for the logic of physical law, the way possibility becomes history? Because the same dynamics that structure a Tetris board structure, the physical universe, limited foresight, irreversible commitments, growing constraints, and the steady pressure of accumulating disorder. Tetris is not physics, but it makes visible something physics often hides. And if you understand why the thud of a locking piece feels so defining, you already understand the core of the ledger model. Tetris is simple on the surface. Pieces fall, you place them. Lines clear, the game speeds up. But underneath the simplicity is a surprisingly faithful representation of reality's most important constraints. You have limited time before a possibility becomes a commitment. Every movement eliminates futures. Every placement is irreversible. Your past shapes, and often shrinks, your future. And without constant effort, disorder increases. The ledger model gives a vocabulary for these universal dynamics. Draft, the space of possibilities. Vote, the interactions that narrow those possibilities. Ink, the irreversible commitment. Ledger, the accumulated record of those commitments. Tetris makes this sequence visible, tangible, and emotionally vivid. Let's walk through those 4 ideas as they appear in the game. The ledger model describes reality as the process of turning possibility, draft, into history, ledger, through interactions, votes, that eventually incur a thermodynamic cost, ink. This is not a replacement for quantum mechanics or thermodynamics. It is a lens. A way of talking about what those theories are already doing. For the purists, this model does not propose new physics, new particles, or new laws. It simply reveals a structural pattern shared across physics, cognition, biology, and human systems. The steady conversion of maybe into was. Now let's see how perfectly this pattern appears on your Tetris screen. When a new tetramino appears at the top of the screen, it exists in a suspended possibility state. At that moment, it could land on the left, it could land on the right, it could rotate into a vertical channel, it could lie flat across the middle, it could fix a problem or create one. No future has been chosen yet. This is draft. Draft is the set of futures still available. It's the same structure the quantum world inhabits before measurement. A cloud of outcomes not yet pruned by interaction. There is a second draft running at the same time, the one in your head. As soon as you see the shape, your brain fires off micro-simulations. What if I put it here? What if I rotate it this way? If I fill this gap, will that block the well? This internal rehearsal is the simulated ledger. The falling piece itself, the visible one, is the physical ledger in motion. Your mind is running through drafts. The game is preparing to commit one of them. One important note, Tetris pieces come from an algorithm, not quantum randomness. But the analogy is not about the origin of uncertainty. It's about the logic of commitment under constraint. And Tetris captures that logic perfectly. As the piece falls, you act, you rotate, you slide, you correct, you hesitate, you second guess. Even failing to act is a kind of action. Gravity votes for you. Every one of these inputs is a vote. A vote does not finalize the outcome, but it removes some possibilities and preserves others. Votes in Tetris. Rotate the piece. Certain placements vanish. Slide left. New futures open, others close. Hesitate. Gravity eliminates whole branches of possibility. Panic. You choose a branch you didn't intend. A photon hits an atom. A molecule interacts with a neighbor. A system leaks information into its environment. This is decoherence. The environment chipping away at superposition, possibility by possibility. Possibilities rarely collapse all at once. They collapse the way a Tetris future collapses, incrementally, locally, through many small interactions. Votes only become costly when they lead to commitment. That cost arrives later. Then, the soft, inevitable click. The piece stops falling. It becomes part of the board. This moment is ink. Ink is the point where possibility becomes reality, where one path is selected and all others are erased. Once the piece locks, you can't move it. You can't rotate it. You can't unplace it. You can't fix the mistake without more pieces and more cost. Ink carries the bill. In physics, irreversible operations have an energy cost. Writing a bit, breaking an egg, fracturing a material, recording an event. Not every micro-update is dramatic, but any stable, macroscopic mark requires energy to create and more energy to undo. Ink is the conceptual name for that cost. In Tetris, a clean placement costs almost nothing. A sloppy placement costs many future moves. A buried hole costs the rest of your game. Ink defines how much you will now pay for the way you resolved your draft. Look at the bottom of the screen. What you see is your ledger, the accumulated, irreversible history of every decision you've made since the start of the game. It includes your smartest placements, your mistakes, your panic, your recoveries, your luck, your bad luck, the entire architecture of your past. This is what path dependence really means. Two players can receive the same next piece and face totally different futures because their ledgers differ. Your ledger determines how much room you have, how many clean futures exist, whether the next draft is wide open or suffocatingly narrow, whether one mistake is survivable or catastrophic. You are never playing against the falling piece. You are always playing against your own history. That is the defining insight of the ledger model. The past constrains the future because the past has been written and the future has not. If you put the controller down, the game does not pause. The pieces keep falling. The stack rises. The disorder grows. The structure decays. The future collapses. This is entropy. Not chaos as pop culture uses the word, but the statistical tendency for complexity to increase unless energy is invested to hold it back. Systems drift toward disorder without active maintenance. Tetris makes entropy visible. Every new piece is potential disorder. Every good line clear is exported disorder. Every hesitation increases disorder. Every buried hole amplifies disorder. Tetris speeds up, not because physics demands it, but because game designers understood something fundamental. As commitments accumulate and capacity shrinks, life feels like it is speeding up. You have less slack, fewer drafts, fewer votes, less opportunity to fix mistakes before new ones arrive. This is the lived experience of aging, bureaucracy, burnout, project overload, and ecological collapse. The tempo of life feels faster when the ledger becomes more complicated. Clearing lines is the metabolic act that keeps you alive. Stop clearing them, and the board climbs. Stop expending energy in life, and the same thing happens. Draft, falling piece, futures still open. Vote, rotations, shifts, hesitations, ink, the lock-in moment, irreversible commit. Ledger, the stack, history and constraints. Entropy, the rising natural drift toward disorder. This is the entire system in a postcard. Once you see the ledger logic in Tetris, you begin to see it everywhere. Not metaphorically, structurally. Projects. Every unresolved email is a falling piece. Every delay is gravity voting for you. Technical debt is Tetris. Old mistakes buried under new ones, each making the future more constrained. Conversations. The thought is draft. Speaking is vote. What's heard is ink. The relationship is the ledger. You cannot unplace a sentence. Anxiety is the mind playing draft after draft without ever casting a vote. Mental stacks accumulate. No lines clear. The internal ledger becomes unplayable. Organizations drift toward confusion unless they actively reduce entropy. Pruning projects, updating assumptions, clearing dead commitments. A company's ledger is its structure of past decisions. If leaders ignore it, the stack climbs until collapse. The physical universe. Tetris isn't physics, but the universe runs a deeper version of the same logic. At the fundamental level, the physical universe goes through its own sequence. Draft, quantum uncertainty, the wave function, the cloud of possibilities. Vote, interactions with the environment. Photons, molecules, air, gravity. Ink, the thermodynamic cost of making an outcome irreversible. Ledger, the classical world, the stable history we live inside. This is not an analogy. It's a structural mapping. Before any particle is measured, it exists in a superposition. Many futures, none yet real. Every interaction with its surroundings, every photon that bounces, every atom that vibrates, acts as a vote, pruning those futures. To make a result stick, to turn maybe into is, the universe must expend ink, generating heat according to Landauer's principle. And once written, the result enters the ledger, the irreversible history that defines the classical world. Everything solid around you, the chair, the wall, your own body, is the end product of billions and billions of these draft vote, ink, ledger cycles per second. The universe is not playing Tetris. But Tetris lets us see the informational structure the universe uses to become real. Same underlying logic: accumulation, constraint, and the cost of keeping order. Here is the uncomfortable truth the game teaches better than most physics textbooks can. You cannot rewrite the stack. You cannot unplace a piece. You cannot return to a cleaner board. You cannot recover futures your past has eliminated. The ledger is append only. This is not fatalistic. It is clarifying. It frees you from obsessing about the irrecoverable past. It anchors your power in the only place it actually exists: the falling piece, the draft in front of you. You control your next vote. You control how you spend your ink. You shape the ledger you will have tomorrow. Reality will keep dropping drafts on you. Your job is to respond with as much clarity, courage, and precision as you can muster. Ready? Next piece.